Welcome to the Fantasy Throwdown Podcast. The Fantasy Throwdown Podcast. Bringing you the latest from the world of daily fantasy sports and gambling, so you can stop Googling how to join a squid game to cover all those parlays you thought were such a sure thing. Now, sit back and listen to one of the sharpest minds in the game. Here's your host, Dwayne Callender.
Hello, everyone. Happy Saturday morning to you all. We have a four-game NBA slate. Actually, we just hit the afternoon as I'm recording this. But, yeah, we got a lot of NBA news to cover. So let's get right down to it. Four-game slate for the playoffs. First off, we've got Philly still in Toronto playing the Raptors, looking to close them out with a sweep. Raptors trying to hang on. Injury news. Maybe Toronto gets back Scotty Barnes. Realistically, the Raptors did just about everything right in Game 3. Still couldn't close it out because of Embiid. I think the issue here is the fact that you've got Joel Embiid apparently with a thumb injury that he picked up in Game 3. It looks like he's still going to play. Yes, Philly could be pushing hard to kind of close this out early. That would make sense, but it's not the craziest thing in the world if with the crowd, Toronto goes hard at them again. They say Scotty Barnes might be available to play. Maybe that gives them a boost. They need to have something to give a little bit more of a breather to Fred VanVleet, who struggled in the series. OG Anunoby's been solid. Siakam, they need more, just being perfectly honest. And Embiid's just been bullying them. But if Embiid is slightly off and, that thumb's bothering him, it wouldn't be the craziest thing in the world if Toronto gets off to a hot start, Philly dials it back a bit, and just plays for another day and let Embiid get some rest in this game. They've got a cushion. It's not necessarily left for them to, push that hard and overextend him if he does have that hand injury. Yes, I know that they would like to get more rest, but it's not absolute that they got to get out of here with a W, obviously being up 3-0. So health comes first. I think Toronto hangs on, extends the series at least one more game, and then we get the gentleman sweep in game 5 by Philly. I just don't see where Toronto is matching up with Tyrese Maxey. He's been able to get to the hoop. Harden has been pretty much a non-factor in this series, and they're still up 3-0. I still don't think Harden is in shape or healthy, for that matter. But we could see. It's like if Embiid is struggling with the hand, we could see Harden take over. He hasn't done anything this series. So if he actually has his pop-off game here, I certainly won't be on it. I'm not going to be chasing it. I told you from the outset, I don't have a ton of confidence in Harden in this postseason just because of where he's looked conditioning-wise. He just doesn't look there. So on the Toronto side, I'll look at an OG Anunoby. Maybe I'll play some Fred VanVleet. I still don't know. If Barnes is out, I like Precious Achiuwa on DraftKings and FanDuel. If Barnes is starting, I'm probably off everyone. It's just one of those things where you want to have as high usage as possible. If Barnes is going to be soaking up 20 minutes, I think it kind of takes VanVleet out of the way in terms of usage on the offensive end. Anunoby, far less desirable of a play. Achiuwa, because he's 4,300, you still have to put that in consideration. And Siakam, absolutely not. So definitely be waiting for injury news on Barnes if he's starting or not. They say he's available to play. If he's not starting, maybe they give him a run for 5-10 minutes to see how well he can go. And, if that happens, it happens if he gets hot or not. But I'm not going to roll the dice on Scotty Barnes, but if he's starting, then I'm definitely off the Toronto guys from a DFS standpoint. But I do think Toronto gets out a W here but I'm not necessarily looking at this as a premier spot of high scoring game. I think this might be just Philly, kind of throttling down a bit if they don't get off to a great start. Next up, we got Dallas in the afternoon game in Utah. The Mavs picking up another big win. They won. They won again in Game 3. I just don't understand what Utah's doing. Gobert is getting exposed because Dallas is stretching out, shooting from behind the arc. But the truth of the matter is, Utah's not being nearly fast enough with their closeouts. Dallas is getting way too many clean looks at the bucket from beyond the arc, and Brunson is just carving him up. Like Brunson and Dinwiddie have been carving him up in the backcourt. At a certain point, Donovan Mitchell has got to take it personally and start guarding these dudes. I don't know if it's the free agency kicking in and he's kind of checking out, but Mitchell has been very much a disappointment. I know people are going to be high up on Brunson because of his performances in the first 3 games. Someone's going to overpay for him. Probably will be the Knicks or some other team, but I just think it'll be an overpay. But they say Luka might play some limited minutes. I just think it's a mistake. You got the 2 games in hand. You got the 2 wins. You're not in danger. Going 2-2 with a fully healthy Luka and not playing limited minutes, but just being 2-2, I think that's a win for Dallas, in my opinion. If you risk Luka getting banged up again in this series, you got no shot next round. They at least the team has shown that they can compete with this Utah squad that has, again, the defense has been brutal watching this game unfold. So in terms of value plays, I'm going back to looking at Brunson, and I'm not a Spencer Dinwiddie guy, but if Utah is going to struggle as mightily as they are with their team defense, you're probably going to have to just give a look at Dinwiddie, just because you're saving money with Dinwiddie. There's no getting around it. So as it stands, Dinwiddie, you're saving. I believe it's 1,300. Let me double check. Oh, I'm not even close. Dinwiddie 7,200 now. Yeah, Brunson at 7,700 and Dinwiddie 7,200. I think they're going to be really popular, and I would probably just look at playing a guy like Reggie Bullock at 4,900 instead at the guard position, and Josh Green is only 3,300. He's not going to kill you if he, goes back to being Josh Green and not producing. Max Kleba 4,800. I'm not paying 4,800 for Max Kleba. And Dwight Powell is just walking, talking escalator. Like he goes up and he goes down. That's just nothing out of Powell in terms of actual utility. This is not a PJ Tucker situation. We're just gonna pass on Kleber and Powell, in my opinion. At least that's the way I'm approaching it. I just don't know Dallas wise. If Luka's playing, I have a whole lot less interest in this game in general. I just think that's a mistake for Luka to be playing. If Luka's playing, then I'm definitely getting off that game entirely from the Dallas side. And I'll just pivot to the Jazz, where Bojan Bogdanovic, 6,100. It's my favorite player on the Jazz side. You could look at a Royce O'Neal at 3,800. Donovan Mitchell at 8,700. He's got to put up numbers. Like, he just hasn't been putting up the numbers. I would rather just concentrate on the Brooklyn Boston game and game stack that game than trying to figure out how this Dallas game is going to play out. So instead of waiting on the Luka news, I may just game stack it outright with Brooklyn Boston, because I think people are just going to play some Dallas guys and not fade the game. I think you can get away with just fading the Dallas game. Maybe play Tyrese Maxey in the first game. If you believe in Embiid being healthy enough to dominate again, play Embiid and Maxey, and you do a run back with Achua, and then fade the Dallas Utah game, and then just load up on Brooklyn and Boston, which I'll get into, or get real different and load up on the Minnesota Memphis series. But I I think the Dallas game is the most likely one to bust completely from a DFS standpoint. I think Utah wins the game, ties it up. I gotta think Donovan Mitchell shows up. I just I just think at the price tag, you're probably gonna get more scoring out of Jalen Brown and Jason Tatum on the Boston side than you are Donovan Mitchell at 8,700. It's a price thing with Mitchell that has me concerned. Uh, Other pieces on Utah, I mentioned Bogdanovich. Jordan Clarkson's a possibility at 4,500. Maybe Mike Conley at 5,500, but not going too crazy over it. But lo and behold, let's get into the night slate, which is I think you should be concentrating most of your players on. And I'm sure DraftKings FanDuel will have a separate night slate, but truth be told, my preference is concentrating on the Brooklyn Boston series. The Nets still don't play any defense. Bruce Brown is still too cheap for his usage on the Nets side. KD is 10-9. I mean 10-2. I'm saying 10-9. I mean 10-2, but 10,200. But the issue is everyone's concentrating on KD. I think KD can go off and get to the free throw line and score, but I don't necessarily see a 70 point fantasy score potential from KD. I see him being in the 60s. Yeah, could he have a 40-point game, 50-point game? Certainly, but I think it's asking a lot for that to be more of a standard expectation. I think Kyrie has an easier time of getting there because I think Boston's going to concentrate their efforts on slow down KD again and just let Kyrie do what he wants to do at 9,600. I'd rather go there and play off of Brown. On the Celtics side, Jason Tatum 9,300. He's going to score. Jalen Brown 8,200. He should also be scoring on this Brooklyn squad. Marcus Smart, the Nets are going to let him shoot. He's 6,400. He could get there. You're looking at an Al Horford at 6,900. Can score. I mean, Brooklyn doesn't play defense, so the easy buckets should be there for the Celtics, even on the road. And it's not like the Brooklyn crowd is that crazy either in terms of fan noise across the league. I think this is manageable for the Celtics. Both games have been close. I expect this one to be close as well. I don't see the Nets actually being capable of blowing out a team, even if they have a good offensive night. They don't play. Their defense is too shoddy to truly keep a team down if they get out to a decent enough lead. So, pressure's on Brooklyn to get it going tonight. I expect Durant to put up numbers. I just don't think it's going to be monster enough numbers to justify the salary price tag of what you need to do to take down the GPP. I don't think he's going to be in the winner. I think he can have a very good night, but I don't think with the prices where they are, there are too many variables where I think teams can really go off and still be the KD team because that KD price tag is so high. And then the nightcap between Memphis and Minnesota. Memphis got game 3, took back home court. Minnesota going to have to try to rally. I told you guys from the outset, I did not like Karl-Anthony Towns for this series. I still don't like Karl-Anthony Towns for this series. 8,900, people are going to get sucked into playing Towns. I'm going to be underweight on him. I may just fade him completely because that price tag, I would rather play Donovan Mitchell. I think it's more reliable to get that type of performance out of Donovan Mitchell than what the T-Wolves are looking at Towns. Anthony Edwards at 7,800 could get there, but I think there are other plays. John Morant, 9,700. He is borderline for me, but certainly under consideration. D'Angelo Russell, absolutely love him. We'll have plenty of exposure to him. I definitely would be looking at one of the three between Jaren Jackson and Xavier Tillman on the Memphis side to go along with Ja. Someone is going to get work with him. I just don't know who. Dylan Brooks got hurt last game. We'll see how he's feeling. If Brooks is banged up and gets a minutes reduction, that throws Desmond Bane into conversation along with Xavier Tillman, just because they're going to need bodies out there. And then in terms of the filler pieces in this game, you got on the Minnesota side, you got Malik Beasley at 4,200. Vanderbilt, I believe I mentioned at 3,700. And Jaden McDaniels at 3,400. Like, as last pieces, you could do a lot worse. And if for some reason you don't get Dylan Brooks playing tonight, John Konchar has to enter into the fold at, I think he's 3,100, if I'm not mistaken, if Brooks is out. If Brooks is still playing, or they say severely limited in terms of minutes, then Konchar's only in play if Brooks is out, really, or severely limited minutes. Otherwise, Konchar, I think you could run the risk of him only seeing 5 minutes of action on the floor, as opposed to what I would think is if Brooks is limited, Konchar is getting somewhere between 20 and 24 minutes. So that's all I got, folks. I think that Memphis Minnesota game is the closest one to call. I think it'll be more of a coin flip as if he gets hot in the fourth quarter. I think Minnesota takes it. I like D'Angelo Russell. You can pair him with the Brooklyn guys and just load up on the nightcap games and maybe just have Tyrese Maxey. Again, a lot of it depends on how the Toronto news looks. So we'll see how that goes. But best of luck to everyone. And good luck with the games today. Have a good one.
Thanks for listening to the Fantasy Throwdown Podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and all other major outlets.